I can see.
Recording? Can
There
you
it
see
is.
the recording? How you doing, Brains? Where you at? Home. That's right. On the edge, on the spot. Where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never done. Look who we got today. Oh, we got Julie Korotkin. All right? And she is really going to help us work with millennials and try to better understand young people, the ages between 17 and 32. So many people have this negative connotation. They're lazy, that they don't care about anything, but it's a different kind of programming. I know I went through an intergenerational course, and it is different. You know, we spoiled them. We've given them options and we've given them choices and we've done everything for them. So now their communication style is different. And Julie is going to help us bridge the gap with Evolve Journey. That's her company. So let's welcome her to the edge. Hello, Julie. How are you?
Hey, Miss April. Thank you so much for such a lovely introduction.
Well, you know what? You're a lovely person. And somebody needs to really kind of stand up and defend young people because they're really cool. And whether folks know it or not, they're going to be taking care of our old butts pretty soon. So we better be nice to them and learn to communicate and understand them. Okay? Because it's a different kind of thing. So tell us about Evolve Journey and really what that is, what that looks like, and what is your aim and what's your goal?
What's my goal? So Evolve Journey is my company that I started actually in 2013 that was originally Evolve from Injury. And then it itself evolved into Evolve Journey. And my company is a speaking, training, and coaching company. I am the lead evolver, so to speak.
Right.
And, yeah. And
missionary, right?
Yeah. And I've been as I've been doing this work, I've become known as the Holistic Wellbeing Guide. All of my work is done through the lens of the model of holistic well-being, which I created back in 2013. And if you want to take a look at it, you can. It's at Evolve Journey /freebies, evolvejourney.com/freebies. You can take a look at the visual of the model. But really what my aim is to help really anxious, struggling young people move from a place of chaos and insecurity into a place of peace and confidence and a sense of total empowerment.
So are you teaching them martial arts too?
We can certainly talk about it. What I'm really teaching them, the big things that people get out of my program is first a deep knowing of themselves, a really deep knowing of themselves. And that starts the foundation of being able to make healthy, smart choices that light us up rather than light up the voices of the people around us, which is what young people often experience, right? Like their parents and their aunts and uncles are always telling them, oh, you should do this, you should do that. And you have to have an inner knowing before you can make those choices. So this program gives that opportunity. It also gives people an opportunity to learn how to make decisions really quickly, especially in those moments of chaos and anxiety and panic.
Right.
The tools I teach, really, really simple tools to get yourself down and focused and like spot on. Excuse me. And you know what else it does? An outcome is that people really improve their relationships. Right. The relationships between the parents and the young adults and the grandparents and other concerned loved ones, the struggle seems to subside. There's more communication. There's more love inside the space. And really my ultimate goal with this is to help people learn to use the model of holistic well-being to create a more peaceful and generous and loving world so that we can all live in a much safer, kinder place.
Girl, well, we need to go on and get you a plane ticket to Washington.
I don't want to go there.
The world needs love today.
Yes.
Okay? I think I play that song by Stevie Wonder every day because I'm really trying to send out that vibration. How did you select this demographic? How did you select millennials?
You know, well, it actually spans millennials and Zs, just so you know. Because the millennials are getting old. And I can say that because my brother and sister are millennials. They're getting old. You know, There's a couple of reasons. The biggest of which is this time in life between 17 and 32 is a period of time that there's a clearing, right? This is where you get the chance to step out of being taken care of and become your own person. And so by participating in this program at this stage in life, you get this foundation that takes most people until their 40s or 50s to develop, understand, and create. And this way, 4 months done, you've got really solid grounding under you, even
Wow.
when you're stressed.
Wow.
And that's a pretty big deal.
Where do you find individuals that gravitate to your program? I mean, this is a very niche market.
Yes.
It's not something that's just, oh, okay, let me put in this criteria and up you pop. How do you find the demographic that you're working with?
Actually, one of my favorite way to find my clients is to go out and give free talks to the community.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I like in the next year, for instance, I'm speaking to a couple of professional networking groups. I'm speaking to a mom's group. I get in front of people in the university systems. It really is the environments where we find the folks who are either young adults that are freaking out, which is common these days, or the parents and grandparents. So perhaps even churches and synagogues, mosques, etc. That's sort of the next step for me, is reaching into that community.
That's pretty intense. Tell us a little bit about your program. When people go in and deep dive with you, it's more than just talk therapy.
Oh yeah, it is not talk therapy. Even though my background, I am a licensed clinical social worker in the state of Colorado, and my background is in psychotherapy. This is not therapy. And the work is done in 5 modules. And inside those 5 modules, the first step is when I actually really teach how to use the model of holistic well-being, all the inner workings of it. And so you get your foundational tool like right out of the gate of the program. Mm-hmm. And then as we move through, we connect with our bodies and our breath, and we get comfortable inside our internal world. We start to learn how to make our decisions and focus more clearly, get ourselves grounded. But the middle of the program is what excites me the most, which is when we get to do a deep dive into the subconscious. I facilitate what I call a creation visualization. So I create a relatively blank slate inside the mind's eye for someone. I take them down, we get quiet, we go into the mind's eye, create the blank slate, and then they get to really envision the life that it is that they want to create. And it's really fun. And we focus on all the details, all 5 senses, plus all the feelings and the energy of it, so that when they come out, we get to really work with what it is we want, and they can really draw up that picture. So for instance, this is one of those areas that I don't get to do a lot of visualization until we get to the middle of the program.
Right.
But I do like to use visualization as a tool for anxiety management. So it's like one of the things that motivated me to create a free gift on my website. And if you go to evolvejourney.com/freebies, there's actually 2. You can get a copy of the model of holistic well-being there. And you can also get a free guided visualization that I created, and get a taste of what it would be like for me to guide you inside a process.
I want you to define for me this big $25 word of holistic.
Yes.
People toss that around like a salad.
Yeah.
So again, I'm holistic this and that. What does that mean in your world?
So for me, and the model that I created is to me what a holistic life looks like. And to me, there are 7 layers of a holistic life that create well-being. Those being the internal world made up of body, mind, heart, spirit, and then the external world being made of community, purpose, and environment. And inside of each of those, and there's so much breadth and depth to what we can create inside of each of those layers for ourselves. And that's what my program gives people the opportunity to do.
Okay, so when you're in this program and you're working with, families, uh, how do you bring the adults up to speed? Because they're set in their ways, they're set in their mindset. This is how we used to do it. I don't understand why you don't do this, this, and this. Why you always on that phone? Because that's how they communicate. My mother is 90 years old, girl, and she'll tell me today, she say, you know what, that cell phone and computer, that's the devil. Okay? So she's
You
already
might be right.
yeah, she's already turned off. So how do you bring them into sync?
So let me clarify what you're asking. Are you asking how we bridge the gap between the parents and
Thank you.
Okay, just want to make sure. So, when I work with a young adult whose parents are the ones that have kind of pulled into getting this program going for their kiddo, part of the program is a couple of calls that I give to the parents, and we get on the phone for two half-hour calls sometime within the 108 days. And that's a time when I get to hear really where the parents are. And when I get to hear it, I then talk with them using this model of holistic well-being and help parents understand, how can you view your child through this lens? Right. Because if you can view your child through this lens, just like any other human, all of us have a model of holistic well-being that works for us. It then takes that judgment lens off and it gives them a different perspective. So we start with that perspective piece. And when it's appropriate, we talk about communication and what words to choose and maybe how to approach a difficult topic. But it's really about changing the mindset and coming to a place of love, kindness, and curiosity, than a place of judgment. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, but you know what? Again, that's a lot of heavy lifting because the suicide rate among this population is soaring. Again, there's a lack of communication. They don't know really what they don't know. So when you do this visualization technique, you are really, again, giving them a blank canvas and allowing them to be a creative, to really figure out what it is. Maybe they've seen examples or role models of other individuals to try to shape and mold their life. Am I getting that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it's a lot to work with maybe at-risk youth. I've got a lot of young women here, unfortunately, in San Diego that have been victims of human trafficking. Yes. There's this bullying going on. That's why I said you teach martial arts. My mother, 1, 2. We don't want to teach people to be, aggressive and combative, but you got to stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
So what are we looking at here? When you got kids that are on drugs and alcohol and stuff, how do you even kind of tap into that conversation? Because they don't want to be talked to. They want to be listened to.
Yes. And isn't that the key, is to hear them?
Yes.
And so often we're not listening. And that is probably, I think it's probably one of the greatest contributing factors to all of what's happening with the young adults today, is they're not being heard. And when we opened this conversation, you said, everyone's going, oh, they're lazy, they don't care, they have no loyalty. If you were constantly hearing that as a part of your generation, eventually you're going to become that.
Right.
And so it's on us. It's on those of us who are standing in the judgment place to say, hey, these guys have had a different upbringing and a different experience. We were born before microwaves and VCRs, and these guys don't know life without a smartphone. So there's a big piece of understanding and acceptance that needs to happen in between these two generations.
But you know what? We need to own that, and we need to sit with it as parents, because we've created that.
Absolutely. Give the kid the phone. Let him go. Be quiet. Here's my phone. And
I'm gonna out my daughter. She gonna kill me, but I'm gonna out her.
Do it.
So she made me come up out the ground. I tell her few years ago, I need you to go in there and clean up the dishes for me. I walk back about 20 minutes later. There's still about 4 or 5 dishes in the sink. I said, you didn't handle that? She said, yeah, I washed the dishes that I used. I was like, really? You wash the dishes that you were used? I have to tell you each nano thing. When I say do the dishes, that's the totality of everything that's in there.
Mm.
And it was just like, well, you told me to go clean up my mess in the kitchen. And I'm saying, wow, what did I do as a communicator? Where did I, and I'm not going to say fail because I'm a great parent, but where did I miss the mark in teaching them? Now, you and I are women of particular age. You know what to do. When you came home, you put your backpack down, you made you a sandwich. There was no watching cartoons or anything until till your work was done. You cleaned up your room, you had your chores. What can we do to bridge the gap in that communication now that we've created this glitch here? How do we gain that back? I don't want to have to tell you each thing, because now I'm thinking that you're not going to be a critical thinker. You're not going to be proactive. You're going to be reactive. What could I do as a parent or any parent out there to kind of, reel it back in?
Well, I think one of the biggest things, honestly, is education right now. We are like Gen Xers and up. We are not versed in their experience. We don't get it. And so on part of being educated is, again, listening to what they have to say, right? But I also think that there's a lot of really good material out there on blogs and websites. And I actually have a couple articles coming out soon about this, is the screen and the impact that the screen is having on our mental health, and particularly the mental health of youth who are using the screen in childhood and adolescence, because it's impacting their brain development, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think it's really our responsibility to understand how the screen is impacting the way people are thinking and coming to the table with other humans, and then making choices based on their own education. How much screen time should we really have in this house? Right. And how much are we going to tolerate this getting in between our actual relationships? I think that is one of the biggest things. And the other piece is parents have the second biggest contributor is the helicopter parenting. And wanting to make everything okay and easy. Right. And look, I get it. I have little tiny boys and they're so cute and I don't want anything awful to ever happen to them. And at the same time, this world is a scary, ugly place and they need to be prepared for it. So I think we need to be becoming very conscious about letting our kids slip and fall and scrape their knees and however that shows up. Right. And being an allowance for the world to happen to them while they're still under your safe nest at home.
And talking to them and treating them like a little human being, not a grown person. You're not my equal, okay? No. But having a conversation and some ownership, teaching them about responsibility, teaching them about consequences. For every action, there is a reaction.
Yeah.
But how do we talk to them too about deterrence? You're going to have all kind of people coming up to you in this world with some trickery. That's my favorite word, trickery. Because they're going to try to manipulate you, to do drugs, to steal, to, fall in love, to be sexually promiscuous. Do you have some suggestions on that?
I think for a young adult who is already sort of out in the world and has already been raised, on that side of it, it's a matter of keeping your well-being your priority and knowing what it is that keeps you healthiest, happiest, and safest, and making choices in that direction and being committed to it. You have to make a commitment as a young person to say, I am not going to blow my chance at my awesome life because this guy wants me to go do this thing over here. And on the flip side, for the parents, give your kids responsibility out of the gate.
Right.
Give them responsibility right out of the gate.
That's like I told my daughter, you want a cell phone? Okay, great. You got a cell phone, but you need to get a gig to pay it. You want to drive? you need to pay for your car insurance. That way they have a buy-in.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm
like
not
anyone else, right? You don't pay for something, you're not motivated.
You know, I have a great segment, another show that I did, is that you're not grown till you got your own. And again, looking at the average age of your child moving out of your house, get this, Brains, is 28. What? 28 years old.
Has it gotten that high?
It's gotten that high. And I'm looking at it, and it makes perfect sense, because they can't afford it.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as affordable housing. So you've got to help them. They don't, they can't get the jobs. They're in tons of debt with college and those type of things. 28 years old. So what are you going to do? You just don't want to put your kid out on the street. And for some reason, there's this magical number of 18. 18 is a great number, but it does not correlate to me with being an independent adult. There's 18-year-olds that are still acting like they're 14.
Yes.
18.
And there's 50-year-olds that are still acting like they're 18.
Exactly. So there's a maturity level, and especially when you're 28 still living there with your parents, and I got to tell you how many dishes to wash or to take the trash out, it comes to a point where you have to be a little bit stern too. So it's hard to find that balance, because you don't want to be judgmental, but I can only teach you what I know, right? So there's great people like you with great programs and tools to really kind of help both sides, the parent and the young adult, kind of get through this. Tell us a little bit how to get in contact with you and some of the upcoming programs that you have.
Okay. So my website is evolvejourney.com, and excuse me. And my Facebook business page is Evolve Journey Julie K. Facebook.com/Evolve Journey Julie K. I'm on Instagram as Evolve Journey Julie K. My phone number is 720-295-4175. I love to hear from people, and another option, if you really do want to get in touch with me and are interested in a free conversation with me about my 108-day coaching program, you can go to evolvejourney.com/assessment and take the quick little intake. It's 3 questions. That's it. And then if it's a good fit, I'll get back to you and we can have a chat. I'm trying to think. Right now, I actually have a couple of talks coming up in the beginning of the year, but they're local to Denver. I'm not sure how many people are going to be flying out here.
That is okay, because you're omnipresent, and I'm sure you're going to record it and you can upload it.
Yeah.
Again, we're only a point and a click away.
Exactly. And in the upcoming year, I'll be filling up my YouTube channel with content, and my blogging system is all set up for the year. So I will be coming out with tons of materials to really support young adults and their families in creating a more loving, generous life for themselves and the people that they care about.
Well, it's great. So before we conclude, I want to ask you a couple quick questions, though, about you. Who pours into you, Julie K? Who keeps you, level-headed and keeps you in the trajectory moving forward? I want to know.
Well, there's 2 little tiny boys who are 5 and 3 that definitely keep me motivated, my little guys, and my husband. And I have spent the last year building a really solid community of top-notch entrepreneurs around me that have helped me stay focused and going forward, because this work is just so tremendously important.
It is important, and it's draining. So how do you get it off you? Because it's heavy lifting. And when you're constantly intaking all of this information, what do you do to release your stress, your anxiety, and just let it go?
So I actually do use my model of holistic well-being every day. This is how I live my life. Awesome. And so I am certain to check in on all my layers every day, most days. And if I'm feeling off kilter, I just pull from what I know of me and what works for me. So I incorporate doing artwork into my business, and I work out twice a week, and I go skiing, and I play with my kids on the floor. And those are really the big things that keep me sane. And your people, gotta have the people. That's why community is one of the layers of holistic well-being.
Exactly.
You've got to have your people.
People want to find you relatable. What was your upbringing like? What was your childhood like?
So I actually grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. I am a born and raised Georgia Peach. It was before it was Yo ATL. Now it's Yo ATL.
Right.
But I grew up in Atlanta, and I went to summer camp in North Georgia. I grew up in a Jewish family, divorced parents. I've got halves and steps all over the place. And I grew up really loving Mother Nature. And I started getting into holistic stuff. There's that word again, holistic stuff, when I was a teenager. And I have been, I was always the kid that wanted to help everyone else. And it has stayed with me for my whole life.
That's a blessing, because that was the glue that held you together.
Yeah.
And that's very, very important. And, people have to, I always like to ask that question, because people want to connect with you, but they want to connect with you not because of your deliverable, the great program that you've designed and the work that you do, but the fact that you are a human being and that you identify with your life experiences, and, you have a blended family. And then those are things that you'll be able to teach your boys, growing up. Things happen. They're going to find their own relationships. They're going to date one day. They're going to have some of these challenges. And so they want to know that their mom has been out there, as I like to say, been there, done that, and got the t-shirt.
Yeah. I think I have about 10 t-shirts.
Exactly. And you are wearing them. You are wearing them in full effect. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here on The Edge with us, Julie.
Thank you.
Come back and visit with me. I do podcasts, potlucks. I'd love to have you and maybe some people that are working in the foster care system, young adults, because I'm a mentor for foster youth that are transitioning into independence. And
Thank you for doing that.
Well, it's really cool. It's really cool, but I'm telling you, I go in full throttle. I want to look at you. I want to introduce you to all these lines and checks on your pay stub. I want you to learn how to be responsible, how to pull your pants up and tuck your shirt in. Just basic things. But then I want to love on you.
Yeah.
Because that's something that we're missing. And I think that if we really embrace that LOVE, everything is going to fall in line. And thank you for loving hard and picking this, this population, 17 to 32, because there's still some 28-year-olds living at home.
Exactly. Let's get everybody doing what they want and happy and healthy.
Exactly. But we want to give them the tools so that they're able to go out in the real world and survive. And
create an awesome life. They don't even, I want them to thrive and enjoy and lead their lives from a place of power.
Exactly.
That's what I'm going for.
Well, I'm telling you, you have moved it from neutral to drive. And I think you're awesome, Saw. So please come back 2020. We got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of work to do. And I honor you and I respect the work that you do. And I thank you so much.
Thank you too. Appreciate it.
All right, Brains. Go ahead and check in with your kids. Or maybe they ought to check in with you. Bye-bye. Have a great day, everybody.